A note to my future self. It's been a while. About a year ago, we were sitting right here thinking about doing the 50 States Marathon Challenge, and last month we completed it. Running a marathon, number 50, in Honolulu, Hawaii, is just mind-boggling how we were able to do that in 1 year. But guess what? When you have the confidence to take on something big, that's all it takes. Break it down into small pieces and take it on 1 week at a time. This is what we told ourselves last year. And here we are again with another massive challenge ahead of us. The 7 continents in 7 days, World Marathon Challenge. How in the world am I going to run a marathon every day for an entire week? Nonetheless, sleeping on flights while traveling between every continent on the planet. First off, if I would have told you that last year, it would have been overwhelming. The 50 States Marathon Challenge was something that we could take on week by week. But this challenge is a whole different animal because it requires me to show up, to show up every single day. And this is how it's going to be the rest of life. You know, the 50 States Marathon Challenge was a massive undertaking, but that was just the first step of many. And the past 2 months, as this challenge has come to a close, have changed us to the core. But that's what life is going to be like moving forward. We've signed up for this, you know? I think taking on the massive obstacle is one thing. Following through is yet another. And the weekly follow through, the daily follow through, is the most difficult challenge. Maintenance is the name of the game. Because what do I have to do before I take on the 7 continents in 7 days challenge? I have to put out the 50 states recap. Okay, so I have 20 days before I head to Cape Town, South Africa, to fly down to Antarctica and run these marathons. I've got 20 days until then to pull all of the 50 states marathon recap videos together. That's something that I should have been doing all in 2024, throughout the year. Staying on top of the maintenance items is what matters. Now, what was I doing instead? I was probably worrying about how I was going to make money to pay for the challenge. I was probably scrolling on TikTok, wasting time so I didn't have to do the difficult work that was required of me. The maintenance items, staying on top of the footage. So now we have this massive undertaking before the 7 continents challenge to balance these, responsibilities that we're not taking care of with the things that are coming up. How many projects do we have that we haven't followed through with? Does our word mean anything to us anymore? Because there's only a certain number of times where you can make a promise and not live up to it, no matter what you've done in the past. Only a certain number of times you can make a promise, not live up to it, and continue moving forward with confidence that what you say you're going to do, you'll actually follow through on. So this is an opportunity for us, an experiment of sorts. As we go into this new season of life, more will be required of us. I know that we are stronger than the person we were a year ago today with the handlebar mustache. It's wild how much has changed in a year. And so I know that in a year from now, we will be so much greater. You will be so much greater. This next month leading up to the 7 continents in 7 days challenge will be life-changing because it will force me to follow through with a promise that I've made to us, and as well to make sure that I'm really living up to the promises that I've made. It doesn't matter who I make promises to. Let me rephrase that. I only have to follow through on the promises that I make to myself at the end of the day. I shouldn't be making promises to anyone else. Because if I'm promising to other people, then I haven't really done the work to follow through on that. And if it's a promise, it means that I'm going to do this thing. Well, maybe with other people, I shouldn't extend a promise. Because then if I'm not able to follow through, I lose trust with them. And it's harder to repair the trust with them because how many times are you going to get to talk with them? Do you really know what's going through their head? How did they perceive this interaction with you? Stop taking the easy route, making promises and failing to follow through. Instead, take action today and only make promises with yourself moving forward and follow through. That's it. Stay on top of the maintenance items because there will be a time in the future when we don't have margin for error. This 7 continents in 7 days challenge is big. And so are people going to be mad at me at us if we're not able to run all 7 marathons because an ankle injury or whatever it turns out to be? Probably something with the ankles. I don't think people would be mad, but they would lose trust that we are able to follow through on the promises that we make. And so there's one challenge. Overextending ourselves is something that we've done for a very long time. We need to get better at that. Another challenge that we have before us is living up to this fundraising promise that we're going to fundraise $44,000 to match the cost of the trip. We're going to fundraise $44,000 going into this for cancer research and food insecurity. I know we can do that. I know we want to do that. But something that I've learned about us in the past month, 2 weeks, 3 days ago even, before committing to this fundraising goal, overextending ourselves is a bad habit. It's another way of making a promise and not following through. No free dopamine. Take the difficult route. Do the work today. Follow through on the recaps. Finish what you've started before opening up the door to this new season. This 7 continents thing was sprung on us. It's not something that we had planned. But that's how opportunities come and go. Will there ever be a time where I'll be planning out for an opportunity that's really worth it, That we will be planning for an opportunity. Most of the time, these things roll in the door without not the forethought to be able to plan for them. And so as we go into this new season and this next year, my challenge for you is to stay on top of your maintenance items. Are you going to read a book every Saturday? No. You're going to be, going for a long run, or you're going to be finishing a project from the week, posting a video, hopping on a podcast. There are things to be done on the weekends, right? As there are on the weekdays. There will never be a time moving forward where you can just sit down and read an entire book. And maybe you'll have the ability to, but it'll present challenges with everything else. You'll have to make compromises. Instead, decide to make your schedule out of maintenance items. In the morning, you go to the gym for 45 minutes while listening to an audiobook, or while reading 15 pages of a book once you get back, while eating breakfast. Stay on top of the maintenance items. Follow through on the daily maintenance as you're moving towards this vision that we have. Because that's going to be the separating factor between being open to opportunity and not being able to follow through on the promises that you made. Those are linked. I know that we are capable of more. Hopefully you are the living embodiment of that belief. That in a year from today, 2 years, 5 years, things have really changed. And you've mastered the art of staying on top of maintenance items. You're able to break down goals into smaller steps and take them on 1 week at a time. The 50 States Marathon Challenge is complete. Hopefully, as we go into the 7 Continents Marathon Challenge, you can watch this video back and really say that you gave it your all on this 50-day recap and followed through on this promise that you've made to regain that trust with the community that we've built over this past year. I'm excited for what's in store for us, and I know that you are capable of more. So go pursue that in this next year and prove it. And follow through on those daily, weekly, and monthly maintenance items so that you don't get caught up in the craziness of life next year. There will be a time when there is no longer the opportunity to follow through on the past. Life, the pace moves too fast to keep up with everything, to follow through on past mistakes. So we have to figure this out. There's no longer an opportunity for error. And the 7 Continents journey is forcing that out of us with the 50 States recap.